lie. Welcome to the players' lab. Yeah, when no other moment, man, it can't compare.
Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the 48-Hour Rule, a UteNation podcast. As always, I'm your host, Alex Markham. Got the guys back here with me again, Derek Tuimauga. Derek, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Getting ready for Turkey Day. Should be good, man.
Zack Moss, man, how are you?
Good, man. Good. All good. Like Derek said,
good.
getting ready for Turkey Day. So
you're going to be busy on that grill, man.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Some good football games going on. Burrow's coming back. Yeah, he's back for tomorrow's game versus the Ravens off the toe surgery and everything like that. So, I mean, that makes it even more interesting for sure.
There you go. Dude, so tell everybody what all you're going to be cooking tomorrow, man. It sounds like you got a full slate behind the barbecue, man.
Yeah, I got 2 turkeys to do. What about almost 5-pound turkeys? 2 of those. So smaller ones, but still drop those in there. Do a nice little tomahawk, and then I got about 8 ribeyes to throw on the grill as well. So I'll let those things do their thing. Slow cooking them, so probably put them at like 250 and just let them chill on there.
There you go. We're going to be doing a podcast with Zach doing a cooking show for everybody pretty soon here.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
I know, right? Derek, man, you're sounds like you're not even going to have to cook tomorrow, huh?
Nope. Flying out to California, and then having eaten out there with everybody, so should be good. A little change of pace, should be good.
Oh man, there you go. I'll be throwing back food over at my parents' house and throwing back some of that good old Greek metoxa, Derek. You know how that stuff goes.
I can't confirm or deny, but yeah. So I've heard is the great stuff, allegedly.
So guys, Zach and Cal and Coach Holiday obviously talked in the post-game reaction already, right, about last week's game. Derek, man, I'll give you a couple minutes to be able to talk about your 2 cents on it, and when you're done with it, I noticed a crazy stat thing that I want to bring up here, man. So that was a wild game. They pulled it off. Wasn't style points, even though they came back in dominant fashion and won the game, and it ended up biting them in the ass. Miami jumps them.
Yeah, I listened to what Zach, Coach Holiday, and Cal said, and I think they hit it, square on the head. Not too much more to add to that. I think everyone's takeaway was just very uncharacteristic. I mean, from a defensive standpoint, definitely was shock and awe. If you were to tell me Utah scored 50 points, you think blowout, and you would never suspect that they had a race to 50 to win a game. And so, I'm still kind of digesting it. I think some spots that came up to me was obviously on the interior D-line side. They're getting washed pretty good. And people weren't, sitting in their gaps, weren't as sound in their assignment there. And give it up to K-State. I think their running back went for 250 in the first half. And thank goodness they had a throw at the end of the game to try and win the game, because, man, if they would have had more time and would have been able to run the ball, might have been different outcome. But awesome job by the team. Like I said, kind of on X. What's really cool is just seeing the fight in the team, and for them to battle like that. And so, how can you not be excited for and cheer for our Utes when they overcome adversity in a feat like that?
What's wild is, you mentioned it. They had to throw at the end there, okay? Kansas State would have been better off had they let Devin score on that long run. That's a wild thing to think about.
True. It's true.
I'm gonna tell you guys this stat, and then let's wipe Kansas State off of the mind here. All right. So Going into the Kansas State game, Utah's rushing defense. Where would you guys expect Utah's rushing defense to have been ranked nationally overall heading into the Kansas State game?
I think we were top 30.
I would have said top 40.
Zach, what do you think? Okay. They were actually 57th. Okay. So, you guys ready for this? Oh boy.
Oh, they dropped.
After the Kansas State game, Utah now ranks 100th out of 134 ranked teams.
Yeesh.
That's how bad of a defensive performance that was. That's how far they dropped. And I want to say I had heard on ESPN 700 that this was the first time since 1990. Well, I shouldn't say first time. This was the worst amount of rushing yardage given up by Utah defense since about 1996. I want to say it was against Rice. So when Kyle was just a freshly new defensive coordinator, they actually gave up more in that game slightly, but that's just the amount of yards they gave up was just that's unheard of. That's unreal. And the fact that they still won that game, that's a remarkable feat in and of itself.
Yeah.
But they also deserve to be dropped in the rankings when that came out. So I'm not surprised, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Actually, that's really damn bad to drop that far down. But then you kind of think this is probably why they run the ball so much as well. Like I never knew what the defensive run game was, right? But I was talking to somebody and we were like, yeah, this is probably, if you really, really look at it and think about it and just go roster for roster, easily probably one of the worst front fours we've had, right? And like we don't have a lot of just stonewall killers up there that can just go and wreck the game and things like that. So honestly, it makes sense to some degree. We've been missing tackles all year, low key, which is kind of we've gotten by a lot, and really haven't harped on that really probably since week 2, week 3, which was kind of also we looked at it probably as when I look back at it now, I'm like, did we kind of like skate over it just because it's the beginning of the year, you haven't really tackled anybody and stuff like that, but it was a lot of different things, and I saw Coach Witt talk about this upcoming game, Kansas. Obviously, these guys also are similar DNA, right? It's going to be a physical game, like, and when you come out of an emotional win like they just had, like, it's really hard to bounce back and put that game away, right? That's why coaches give you a 24-hour rule, like, all right, cool, celebrate it, have fun, thank you for winning this, whatever. But you got 24 hours, bro. You gotta flush it. So I know that message is definitely being preached to those guys. Like I saw the clip of Coach Witt just getting on the guys a little bit that the school posted on Instagram at halftime, and we all assumed it that because the way they came out, they scored 14 quick points, so Coach Witt had been on their ass, and you could see the passion, and that's what they let us see, right?
Yeah.
That's what they let us see. And I've been on some of those where Coach Witt just goes off, and then it's like guys just wake the hell up, and that's what they needed. But hopefully, they flush this game as fast as they possibly can. It's a short week and stuff like that as well to end the season off, and then having to go all the way out here, go play in Kansas and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a similar game. I wouldn't have told you, these guys are going to run the ball the way they did last week. I won't tell you that again, right? I'm not going to assume that these guys are going to go do something like that again versus Kansas is. But right now, you just don't know. And hopefully, the best thing we can hope for, right, is that one, whatever food they eat on Thanksgiving, they don't eat too much of it, and two, they get out of here without having to stress a lot of people out. And close this thing off just the ultimate right way.
Utah's kind of in a unique situation right now, right? Where they don't control their own destiny. They were in a much more favorable position last week in the CFP stuff, which I still wouldn't say it was favorable, right? But it's one of those where a lot of dominoes have to fall their way, right?
Mhm.
So if you guys were on this team, obviously you guys have had the experience with Kyle. What's going on with the team mindset right now? How difficult is it to stay locked in and focus on that task at hand? Is there a bit of a letdown going in everybody's mind? Just take everybody through the psyche of what could be going on in a Kyle Whittingham led team in a situation like this right now.
That's probably the biggest thing that, like, as I'm walking through this week in my mind, and Zach, I'm curious your take, but like, you come off of something so emotional like that for senior day. You see that you drop. You see like how the stacks are falling, or how the chips are falling, where you don't control your destiny. It's Thanksgiving holiday. Like, Thanksgiving is coming up. You got to travel on Thanksgiving to get to your game. You're going to wherever the hell Kansas is, Kansas. You know what I mean? Like, you're not thrilled. Like, it's not. Let's just put it this way: it wouldn't be a game that everyone has circled on their calendar right now. Like, if I'm being very honest, I think it's like, yeah, let's, like, you're searching for something to get excited about, because as a 18 to 22, 23-year-old kid, like, it's hard to grasp something, right, where you're like, okay, most likely scenario, we're probably, whether we win or lose, we're probably going to be in a bowl game before Christmas, in a smaller tier one, and maybe that's what we have to look forward to. I think just the psyche of it, if I put myself honestly in those shoes, I would probably be thinking that way, because, like, even right now as a fan, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, great year. Like, it doesn't take away anything from the year. Like, if you finish 10-2, that's a win. But because of how things are stacked up with college football playoffs, like, it just doesn't have the same punch that it used to have when you were 10-2, going to a reputable bowl game. They probably could have landed in like the Cotton Bowl or something like that before, or maybe had a big New Year's Six type bowl game, depending on how things landed. But now all those are reserved for the playoffs. And so that's just my thought. I'd love to hear Zach's.
Yeah, I mean, first thing that hits my mind is, Coach Witt led teams always are ready to play, right? And I have been on 4 years there, played on two teams that were fighting for something, and I've been on two teams that wasn't fighting for shit, right? Like my freshman year, that was, you really don't pay attention to as a freshman, like what's happening, like for real. But I remember in 17, my sophomore year, and shit, we're sitting there 6-6, right? Like, imagine that, right? 6-6 is like, it's cold as hell at practice, right? You got to go play a Colorado team. Only thing that made it better, and to a little bit to your point, Darius, it's almost like an inconvenience, this game, in a sense, right? Like, dang, I got to fly on Thanksgiving, right? Well, that's one. Then two, you definitely gonna be eating hotel food. Like, I've had to fly out on Thanksgiving games before, or have Christmas dinners in the NFL and stuff like that in a hotel, right? And it just, obviously, it doesn't hit the same at all, right? But it's like, you got that, right? You got guys who are missing the first Thanksgiving or whatever it may be. So, and even the coaches, it impacts the coaches, right? They're not able to be with their families. I don't know what time this game is. I'll have to look, but it's like, shoot, how fast do you get back, right? That's the other part of things, right? It's like, dang, are we gonna get back in time or whatever? So you're almost like hoping and praying that it's like a 10 a.m. game or something like that, right? Super
Yeah,
early.
that's what it is out here. Yeah,
Okay, so
11
Utah time. Yeah,
they probably have a good chance, right? So it's like, that's, to that standpoint, it really is an inconvenience at the end of the day, just because if that game was here at home, they wouldn't care. They'll go out and handle business and things like that. But all those little different things do matter and do play a part because we're all human, no matter just because guys are putting on helmets and coaches are putting on headsets, right? But it is hard regardless to just continue to, obviously this is a unique situation, being in the college football playoffs, having a chance at that, being so close, right? And technically you would be in if Texas Tech and BYU, if either one of those teams weren't having the year that they're having, right? And these guys have fought so hard, right, to even be in scratch to get back into this position to where we're talking about something like this for these guys. And, you want to see your hard work pay off. So I know they're going to be ready because Coach Witt doesn't care. He blocks out the noise. Like, legitimately, he blocks out the noise. Guys might go on Twitter and go look at this or Instagram and get tagged in X, Y, and Z, and that's whatever. But Coach Witt is in a team meeting room talking about, guys, we do this, we're gonna be. He's not talking about none of that type of stuff. Like, none of that matters to him. It's only about the product that the guys are going to go out on a football field and go put forward for fans and stuff like that. But it's hard regardless. Like I said, I've been on teams where, man, we're not fighting for anything. You got to figure out a way. Personally, it's like, okay, let me just go out here and go do what I can do, right? But then also I've been on teams where we're so close. Like, I remember just the feeling after the Oregon game that we lost in 19. We win that game. And depending on how we win that game, right? Because it's a Pac-12 team, didn't get a lot of love from that standpoint. But you win that game, you win the game a certain way. We might have punched a ticket into the top 4, right? And instead of, I think Oklahoma got in that year, we get in that year. But I remember we didn't sit there and we didn't talk about it. We didn't watch things unveil and think about X, Y, and Z or put any more. I feel like pressure was there to go perform. And that's why a lot of people don't understand, like, damn, how the hell did they lose that game to Oregon, right? Which I feel like we were definitely favored in. But I feel like guys just put so much pressure on themselves to go perform, knowing that which was everything in front of us that we could have, right? So I remember the feeling after that game. It's like, nobody wanted to play in that damn Alamo Bowl. Like, nobody wanted to go to Texas in Old Cod, or I forget what stadium it's in, but nobody wanted to go and play that game. And that's why we got our ass beat. Like, to a Texas team that had a lot of young dudes on it. And I knew a lot of those dudes because they ended up being in the NFL. And they reminded me that we played them that year. I'm like, fam, I don't even remember like getting ready for that game. Like, I can remember a few other games that had absolutely were about really nothing. But that game, bro, I don't remember nothing. All I remember is that it's the last game of the year. I think it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I remember I'm sitting in the restaurant the night before and I'm chilling. Like, that game was just like nobody wanted to be there. And the only reason I even played in it is because I was like, shoot, if I'm healthy, I'm going to play. Like, if I'm not, something's not nagging me, hurting me or something like that, not holding me back. And technically, I was shooting up my shoulder that whole year from the USC game when I got knocked out with a shoulder sprain. But I was like, shoot, I came in with these guys. I'm gonna leave with these guys. Now, what's the passion and all that other shit there? I don't think so. But we couldn't do anything against those dudes, bro. Like, if we didn't come into that game thinking we were supposed to be there. So I could only imagine, obviously right now these guys don't have that opportunity to look at that on that side yet. They still have everything in front of them, which is good. So they can go lock in on this Kansas team and go get a big dub, which they need to have again.
Yeah, to Zach's point, Alex, just on the last thing there, I think what Coach Witt and coaches will really be focused on is just like control what you can control into this week. Like, their whole focus is going to be, we need to take care of business with Kansas and the chips will fall where they are. Now, depending on how those chips fall, could get very interesting with their bowl game. But for Kansas, my experience from what Zach has also said, like, they're going to be pretty locked onto there, and it'll be a testament to show of leadership on the team, the maturity of the team, to see how they come out. And obviously being an early game, if they let Kansas stick around, Kansas plays hard-nosed football, just like Kansas State. They're tough teams. They'll stick around and they'll make Utah pay. But so it'll be interesting to see how this team comes out in the first half.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna make this one shorter this time. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving pretty much, right? And so want to let everybody have their time, and especially Derek with you flying out in the morning. But want to mention two other things very briefly, and then we can kick into just what we expect out of this game and then get out of here. All right. So one, want to bring up the topic that everybody's dying to know what in the hell is going on with. Okay. Kyle Whittingham. One, he is a legend. What the legend wants to do, the legend is going to do, right? What I've been able to gather is that, from what I've been told, is the ones that are even the closest to him don't even know what he's doing right now. In the past, they would have felt more like, oh, it's up in the air, but they kind of felt like he was kind of leaning towards being out. They don't know, but they know that he is energized. He is feeling as good as he's felt in years. So there's all these factors that can kind of play into it, right? And it's just one of the things that creates this mystery that nobody knows. Okay. The one thing I can tell everybody is, sounds like the decision is actually going to come faster than some of the dates that have been thrown out there. Okay. Will we know on this exact date? I'm not sure, but at the same time, too, what I've been told is that Whittingham has planned on letting Utah know on December 1st. So that is coming extremely close. It's starting next week. Things are about to get really interesting. Whether he stays, whether he goes, whether he stays, and that makes Morgan that much more of a candidate elsewhere. It's about to be very, very interesting. And that's the one thing, again, that I need to constantly say to everybody. It's like, it's crazy that so many people are talking about, oh gosh, when's he going to retire? When's he going to retire? When's he going to retire? The man is a legend. He's the greatest coach in Utah football history. He's on the verge of another 10-win season. The man can do whatever the hell the man wants to do. He doesn't owe it to anybody. Okay. He is a legend.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've always said I thought he would do one more. Just, the way things have shaken out. I've always said that. And then when, Coach Holloway was on, he gave some different little nuggets of things like that and things. And so that's a little, shifted my mindset a little bit, because technically Coach Witt is young in the coaching world. Like, he's a guy who's been able to, change with each time period. Like, everywhere that the game has changed, like you think back to 2004, like just think about where the world was alone, right? And be able to change with all these different kids that come into the program, and things of that nature, and adapt and still be able to land, big recruits and stuff like that, and send people off to the NFL and, things like that. And he's had success for 20 plus years, right? Like, he's young. He can coach for another 10 years, technically, if his health fully permitted, because we all know his mental, his love for the game, the passion, and all that type of stuff is never gonna fade, right? Like, that is literally in concrete for him. So I don't know, man. I feel like I remember where I was like, oh, he's gonna do one more. But now when I've sat back and I've looked at him, like, bro, the man is young in the coaching world. Like, you see a lot of coaches on the sideline, super, super great and super, super old sometimes, and they still doing their thing. I doubt he gets to that point, because he loves his physical aspect of himself as well.
And Jamie would kill him.
Yeah, I doubt he gets. I doubt he gets to that point, but man, he has his grandkids. I go to the games, and shoot, even when I was there, you always see the whole entire family right behind the bench, right? And then nowadays you see the grandkids, and I remember I was after the Kent State game, I was on the field, and after the game, I just see him hugging his grandkids and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, those are memories and things that you can't get back. Like, you cannot get those things back, to seeing, allowing your grandkids to see you doing what you love to do, and things like that. Like, that's motivation. That's inspiring them as well, and stuff like that. And his whole family, man, I don't know how they live and not see Coach Will on the Utah football sideline, right? Like, that day that happens will be remembered, like legitimately etched in your mind, because it's been something that's been etched in your mind on a consistent basis of him being there. So I don't know. I feel like I'm back open again to where, like you said, he's a legend. He does and is going to do whatever the hell he wants to do. I think obviously whatever is playing on behind the scenes when it comes to, like, dealing with certain aspects of all those other things with NIL and things of that nature that make you still competitive, right? Then that might shorten him depending on how those things go. But like you said, he's on the verge of another 10-win season. Like, why would you want to leave? It's not like you're 3 and terrible. You're looking at a 10-win season with a chance to, kick that CFP door down.
Yeah, I agree with Zach. I'm not even going to try and get into a crystal ball. I thought for sure when we had Coach Holiday on here, I was like, no way this dude's walking away. And then after the last game, seeing the press conference, I got word from people that were on the field after the game, was seeing him interact with some people. Is like, whoa, and so you just don't know. One of the key things Coach Witt taught me and always harked on it and said it over and over again was, leave something better than what you found it. And, I think in his mind, obviously, like, that body of work, how much more true is that with this man and what he's done with Utah football? And so, just as Zach said, I hope no matter which way he does go, that I'm happy that it is his decision. And the coolest thing is that when this man does step away, it's on his own terms, and he's going to ride off into the sunset, and just feel personally grateful for what he's done. And I think that's a model of life that I really appreciate with Coach Witt. He's not going to have like some big fanfare goodbye tour. Like, the man's going to throw up deuces and ride out. And so when that day does come, whether it's this season or next, I hope that as a fan base, as alumni, as just, people of Utah can appreciate and give that man proper respect that he deserves for it. So that's the best that I got to say on that.
It's what's nuts to me is just everybody knows it's coming eventually, because he had pretty much said that he'd be done coaching when he was 65. He's 66, right? But at the same time too, just the level that it's talked about and asked about, sometimes it's like, guys, let's just sit back and admire a legend doing his thing, So okay, enough of that for now, right? Maybe next week when we're doing one of these, we have a whole episode that we're needing to deal with talking about it. Who knows, right? Before kicking into the next game, quick thoughts on this. Okay. Miami jumps Utah this week. Okay. So the ACC, even though I don't agree with it, and I'm sure you guys don't fully agree with it, is viewed this year suddenly as a stronger conference than the Big 12. Okay. And when I say that, Miami's the highest rated, but Miami can't get into the conference championship game. So people think enough of them that they've moved them up, and the ACC might get 2 teams in. Big 12 might get 1, which a month ago it was looking like it could potentially be, 3 weeks ago it was looking like it could potentially be a 2 to 3 bid one, right? I got something for you guys. and I would love your opinions on this. Okay. So when the Pac-12 was crumbling and Utah was trying to figure out what they were doing, and everybody from the Big 12 perspective was kind of all up in arms, like, why is Utah big time on us? Why are they dragging us out? Why this? Why that? There's a very good specific reason. Okay. The ACC initially had a stronger offer for Utah than the Big 12. Okay. And then you got schools like Cal and Stanford, who Utah works well and closely with from an academic standpoint. Okay. That are sitting there trying to pull strings too. Okay. Within that, the ACC was going to be throwing a bunch of travel costs towards Utah's way, making it easier, so on and so forth, because that would eat into a lot of the budget, right? Making it where it wouldn't be as worthwhile. They recognized that they were gonna ease the burden on that. Okay. Utah probably would have had to adjust for maybe 1 year, getting used to the travel issues and everything, but then it probably would have been a lot more smooth sailing. Okay. When Utah saw the appeal to the ACC, Brett Yormark ended up putting in a call, coming out, sealed the deal on the Big 12, right? That's one of the reasons why Utah did not have to sign the blood oath of the grant of rights. More power to Utah, right? But knowing that stuff and knowing how close it was that Utah nearly voted on going into the ACC, okay, was that the right call 2 years into being into the Big 12?
I say yeah. I think now knowing that information, I think Big 12 overall is going to probably be a little bit more competitive than ACC for the next 10 years, probably. If you really think about it and really look at it, like Miami is, from a, you know, personal side of it, I would have been like, oh, that's pretty dope to see, Utah versus Miami in the ACC together. Obviously, being from Miami and being committed to Miami at one point, and then, stuff like that. But I think overall, for the betterment of the school and athletics, I think choosing the Big 12 was obviously the best bet for everybody because it would took a lot longer to get used to that travel
Yeah.
in 1 year. Like that stuff is rough, and that's not something that people should look at and be like, oh, that's so. No, that's a huge, huge, huge component to a lot of stuff. So I think they made the right thing, make that right thing happen, and obviously it paid off for them overall. And I think it's going to do that overall for them. So I'm happy with them choosing the Big 12 and being in this conference. And I mean, shoot, it's looking like it's going to be stronger than the ACC. The ACC is taking a few steps back recently, anyways, right? So I think it's going to be Big 12 has a chance to put themselves right there where they want to be.
Yeah, all that makes sense. Derek, what do you think?
I agree with Zach's take. I 100% agree with the travel schedule. Like that is bonkers to with Stanford and Cal and what they're doing and going across, that far. That is wild. I do maybe push back on Zach's point that maybe to me, the ACC gets a little bit more love because they're quote unquote blue blood programs, right? Like the nostalgia of Miami, the nostalgia of Florida State. And because in my mind, sometimes the Midwest gets overlooked from a media standpoint, right? We're flyover states in the Midwest. Whereas the polls of, East Coast schools, they get primetime television. West Coast, obviously Cal and Stanford, we'll just leave that out. But East Coast wise, like they get primetime television. You always see Miami get a primetime spot. You're going to see Florida State, who is those two programs, consistently let you down like a few other SEC teams do, but they get primetime spots. And there's just more attention around those for multitude of reasons that we don't have time to get into. But so while I do, and you have like Clemson, right? Like Clemson can turn it back around. And so while I do think that it it was the best move. And the competition is just as fierce, if not more fierce, to Zach's point, in the Big 12 than going to the ACC. There's something to be said about attention and media, that can help paint the picture for the ACC as we're seeing today. And so that's probably the one thing that makes you think twice about it. But I think it's just crazy. And why, Alex, last point here, why I feel that Coach Whittingham has always been very upfront that, like, yeah, we're in the Big 12 right now, but give it 3-4 years, it's probably going to change again. Like, he was kind of saying it without saying it before, that, like, things will change and they're going to morph again, and I fully suspect that it will. And this will continue to evolve. And so, yes, for right now, Big 12 is the right thing. Zach mentioned like 10-year span. I really don't see that the conferences stay like this for the next 10 years, but I think it'll continue to iterate and improve to eventually working out to be the best position for Utah. And this essentially puts them in that best position right now with the Big 12.
And that tees up my point perfectly. And just like Zach said to me one time, yeah, I might not say it, but he'll say it for me. You didn't say it. Whittingham didn't say it, but I'm going to say it for you guys. Okay. I'm going to be that smartass that says, yes, the Big 12 was the best decision for Utah, but thank you to the ACC for stepping in and making it so Utah didn't have to sign that damn blood oath, so that Utah can eventually go to the Big 10, where those teams are much, much more appreciated. Okay. It's a good situation for Utah right now. Okay. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's a good situation for Utah right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But Utah's ultimate goal is the Big 10. People can mock Utah for that all they want. Just look at the respect that all the different conferences are getting right now in the CFP. Okay. That's it. ACC did Utah a favor. Yormark had to sweeten the pot, and Utah pays no exit fee when they eventually bounce to the Big 10. That's huge. So, all right, guys, give me your thoughts on this game. And then instead of over-unders, I'll just throw two things out for some different players. See what you think on that, and then we'll get out of here.
Come out fast. Sorry, Zach. That's all I had. You can go ahead.
I'm with this. Like I said, I hope whatever they eat, they don't eat too much of it, so that way they can literally get off to a hot start. Because we see, yes, were they able to come back last week after playing a terrible half of football to some degree defensively? Yes, but let's not do that this week. Let's start off fast, because that's when we're at our best, and that's when we allow our offensive game plan to actually shine, which is running the ball downhill and time possession, and allowing our defense to look a little better and things like that. So start fast, play fast, and kind of just wrap this thing up and give a lot of people a stress-free weekend.
Cool. Man, defense better be focusing all week on wrapping up their damn tackles and sticking to their assignments, right? That's going to be key, because that was so damn bad, right? Crazy enough, it is the 100th worst rush defense in the country versus the 104th worst rush defense in the country. Run it all damn game. Yeah. Okay. So I think Utah is going to be good on this. I know that there's reports that that Daniels from Kansas is dinged up, their quarterback. So if that's the case, I just expect Utah to be able to dominate that much more, but I didn't expect last week's performance. So we shall see. All right. So, all right, guys, before we close it, does Weishan get his 5th 100-yard rushing game in a row?
Hell yeah. Let's go, Weishan.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely does.
He needs to get just under 170 yards for 1,000 on the year. So I don't know that he gets it against Kansas, but what kind of faith do you guys have in him?
How many yards again?
He needs to get here. Once it's just under 170. Just under
So he needs
170.
150 regardless, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So he needs 164.
I mean, I'm sure, depending on where the game is at and how they're handling business, I think they'll give him opportunity. Hopefully he can strike. The best thing is to try to strike 2 of those big ones. Get you like 2 nice little 30, 40-yard runs. So that way, you're not putting all the pressure on himself to try to get to that number.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'll be motivated. I think the coaches will give him the opportunity, depending on how the game is going, because obviously the first thing is to win the game and get out of there injury-free, right? But hopefully he has a shot. Hopefully they give him a chance, man. You don't give the man 10 damn carries and stuff like that. Hopefully give him about 20. Let's see what he can do with 20 and let him go get that damn 1,000 yards.
Let him eat. All right, guys. And then who scores more touchdowns on Friday? Bert Ficklin or Devin Dampier?
Ficklin.
Ficklin's a touchdown machine, man.
He's an animal.
That dude gets the ball in his hand, and it's like, watch out.
Man, can you imagine literally, like, think about this, Derek. Like, you running the ball, you catching the ball. It's like Jalen Hurts. He comes in on a 1-yard touchdown. Saquon got you 60 yards, right? And he gets the touchdown. Like, bro, I be watching it. I watched it at the Kent State game. I was like, yo, 3 of them things, and he ain't even doing nothing for real. Like, he just gets in and gets 3 touchdowns. Like, I love that shows the leadership of Dampier and stuff like that. And like, I saw one time Fick scored, and they did their little celebration on the sideline, right? So, like, that's dope to see because that tells you everything you need to know. The competition between those two, because those two dudes are definitely competing. You know what I mean? Like, those 2 dudes are definitely competing, and you know how it is. They're like, you're always competing against a guy. I don't care if you're the starter, you're always competing against a guy. And sometimes you might have like a cool relationship where you're like, whatever, that's he cool. I ain't no beef. Sometimes you might sit with him at the lunch table. Sometimes you're like, yo, I'm not gonna use that word, Alex, but I'm like, you're probably like, I'm not helping this guy. I'm not showing this guy none of the tricks, rope, none of that. Like, but those 2 dudes, they look like they mesh well together. Even though everybody's talking about next year and what that looks like and the competition and things of that nature. So, but yeah, I go Fick.
I agree with you guys on that, especially because we expect this game to get out of hand anyways. So, yeah. All right, Zach, close this one out for us, man.
Yeah, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening and watching. We appreciate you guys always tuning in with us, and make sure you guys continue to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and this is the best place to get all your Utah football information. As always, go Utes.
Appreciate you, boys. Happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels.
Fellas, later, y'all.
All right.
Welcome to the players' lounge. Yeah. When no other moment, man, it can't compare. Due to the obvious, people look at me and then they envious. And they the ones that be grinning and acting the friendly.